kind of talk about where this kind of collaboration kind of fuels you as an artist?
Christopher and I met at an After School Matters meeting, and we met because he walked in, he had 3 little black girls with him, and I was like, just intrigued, you know. And I was like,
What's up with this guy?
And so we started talking, you know, and his girls are just beautiful, and they're so full of energy, and they have such personalities. And I've known them for that long.
They are extremely powerful, but given where we find ourselves today and what I could, in my greatest fears, what they could end up growing up to finding in our political situation. I, wanted to create a story in which they survive. Alva and I have collaborated before where I've written something, but I can't do what she does. So like I bring her something that's written, and then we talk about it, and we go like, oh, it could be this. And so this is our second major collaboration. But the idea is for artists not to be afraid to collaborate. That if you have this community of artists that one's a photographer, a dancer, a writer, you can find ways to have these different disciplines work together to create something completely different or new that hasn't been thought of before.
When you talk about this story,
Yeah.
what is the environment that the characters are living in now?
Yeah, but so it's going to be delivered in three ways. That's digital, online, paper, and the podcast.
Oh, so you planned on doing the paper as well?
Yeah, paper just for people who want to be able to collect the art and have it in paper.
But I think that the quality that we're talking about now that's really different is that the audience member has some control in the way that they're seeing the work. So they get to decide when they want to go to the next panel. So it's sort of like that in-between quality where if you're reading a comic, you get to decide when you turn the page, or you want to reread something.
So we've been working on the characters, and what you see on the screen here is an exhibit of all the characters that we've created so far. This is all done in 3D. So that's where we started with the character creation. Just creating imagery for the characters so you can start to get a feel for them. And so this is not how they'll be represented finally, but the final drawing is probably really different.
Yeah.
There's a real filmmaking quality to the way that Alva's going about it, because she's literally, or theater, where she's building the sets and basically you're creating the characters, but almost like casting the characters. But once she creates that world, then we can manipulate it in any way that we want in order to find the shot that's going to best tell the story.
When you think about the story that you originally put together, are you watching as you're collaborating? Is the story taking new turns, new twists?
Definitely.
Yeah. One thing we did at the beginning, before this iteration, is I made Bab darker. She was sort of like maybe my color, maybe a little bit lighter. I wanted her to be dark, like his girls are very dark. And I think there's I wanted them to be able to relate to that, and sort of recognize there's some sort of power in that. This is her with she can fly with help. We changed from wings to a mechanical backpack to the wings were almost like a parachute. They were not mechanical, just very.
They were gliders.
Like gliders, yeah. And to this and that, so we've changed, as she's changed,
Interesting.
So it is interesting. So it's been really fun.
Just a couple of general questions. When you see this evolution of a story to a character, how has it changed your idea about making art?
I see it as the absolute predictable conclusion or concurrence of where I should be as an artist today. Because I can draw and paint and stuff like that. Draw better than I can paint. I can draw really well. That's where I started at my foundation. But then I found metal sculpture. It's
so freeing. So freeing.
Right. So this is a combination of those things, or a combination of those things for me.
Yeah.
It's 3D art, design, drawing.
Yeah.
And when I'm working on this, there's completely a 3D world that I'm in. it's not just 2 dimensions, it's in 3 dimensions, and I can build and mold and shape like I can with
Yeah,
steel.
it's interesting.
You know, so it's just like it's what I was born to do.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about COVID, thinking about how your life has changed. Like, was there any influence of those awarenesses as you were developing the story, or was the story already developed and it's just been really how you interact with the world at this point?
So I've been like, since I don't have a maid or any children living with me, I've been alone for most of this 2 years. You know? And you know, I could count the number of times that I've been out and about, stuff like that. So I mean, I used to be quite the opposite of that. But the positive part of that, which is I'm just now coming into, is having like control of I've always like sort of selfishly taken control of my time when I wanted to art, you know what I mean? But I did it sort of like nonchalantly or whatever. This time has made me be very intentional about the time that I had and try to really focus that time on getting things done. And like, what's different about this project particularly is that I never had to like be inside the character to see what they see. To turn their head and try to see them from the inside and the outside as well, and see what their, what the reaction is and what their action is, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's really a wonderful experience of learning, of being sensitive, of listening, all those kinds of things. So it's cool. And I find that the person I talk to the most is me.